Yo, JD here, Limitless, and as you can see, we are back once again with an F1 2020 video. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the first one. Zandvoort, I really loved driving that track. A new track for me, new track for many people, and we did it in the Red Bull. But now we're going to match that by driving the Ferrari at Monza. No better combination than this. And we'll just be talking again about the handling, how I feel about it. A lot of you guys comments as well, commenting on the sound, just with the traction and everything, and how the game actually looks itself with the HUD. We'll be going all into that here, so we'll just be pretty much just having a discussion as we're on board here. As always, using the default setup initially, just to get used to the track and see the maximum that we can really get. Of course, there is a lot more potential, even with that Zandvoort lap. I think there was, I probably could do a 0.8, well, definitely a 0.8 when I put my own setup on, which I'm sure I can improve from the one that I used. And with the Merc, maybe even the 7s, potentially, who knows. But the handling is not set in stone. This is only a preview build of the game itself. And initially, going back to this gameplay here, the track at Monza actually feels quite different to what it was on F1 2019. And the main thing is that the curbs, especially that one coming off Ascari, seems to be so much smoother than it was in 2019. 2019, especially that first chicane and even the first two turns, were very, very harsh. Very, very harsh. So I knew immediately, or I just sensed immediately, that the tracks, the curbs seem to be much, much smoother. But there are still some curbs, like there is at Zandvoort, that you do want to be avoiding. So going into this turn one, you can see downshifting here. You can see very slow on the downshift. Now I notice with this handling, the handling really forces you to downshift slowly. It does not allow you to spam down the gears, and not because the car will just step out if you do. It just doesn't allow you to do it. That's the thing I've noticed as well. But coming to this corner here, braking very, very late. That inside curb you don't normally touch, but this one here, sometimes on 2019, it would even just catapult you into the air. That's how aggressive and just harsh that one was. Coming into this second Lesmo, see exit of here. Normally that would have given you probably a track limit invalidation on 2019, so I noticed that for a start as well. But going through these corners, especially on the exit of Ascari, going into here, doing a pretty decent line, that's an invalidation. But this one right here, you can pretty much drive over it flat out. It's still not 100% easy, but compared to 19, where I don't know what it's like in real life. I'm not an expert on how the cars should sound and react in real life. I'd admit that straight away. But on 2019, it was such a hard corner to do. Coming across the line, we've done I think it's a 20.2 with default. The fastest time at the moment, someone with a setup has got a 118.7 or something like that. So it's still over a second a bit away. But I knew there was much more potential. First gear for that rotation is being used, but like a Zandvoort, I feel they've made it where it's not as beneficial as it was on 2019, whereas with that handling of 2019, I felt it was kind of, you really had to slide the car, go through here. The car just really glides through those curbs. It just has no issue whatsoever at all. And I will be doing a video where I'll be going through all the cars as well, doing it around a certain track to see kind of what the differences are in terms of top speed, lap time, and just the general handling. But as I said, this is a preview build. This is not going to be the final game. I'm pretty sure it will change. And there's something I've noticed as well, which you just saw before going to that left-hander, is sometimes when I'm trying to go on the throttle, there is a delay in the throttle. I'm not sure if that's just my imagination or something at all, but there seems to be a little bit of a throttle delay. It just doesn't, I think it restricts you on how you drive, and especially with downshifts, as you saw going to this. Now we have done, I think that's a 19.9, which is not bad at all. So going to this time one again, it really can't go down the gears quickly at all. It really does not like it. But the traction is still an issue for me, I find. I think Ben mentioned it in one of his videos recently at Bahrain, which I watched earlier. it's a weird one. It feels pretty easy. I think initially it's quite easy, but then just before you change into the next gear, so from like second to fourth at the end of the rev range, kind of like how the 2004 Ferrari is in classic cars when I used to do those videos, it kind of feels like that, where it all of a sudden it just snaps and it's just a bit unpredictable. So I don't know if that is realistic. Again, I'm not an expert on how the car should actually feel. I don't mind that these games are not a simcade at all. And another thing I noticed as well is when you're trying to change numbers on the setup, I don't know if it's a problem with my wheel or something, but it's way too sensitive, way oversensitive. So I don't know if anyone else is having that issue who has got this build. Please let me know. But yeah, it's a weird one for traction. I just find it quite unpredictable. I find this game very satisfying in the high speed through the cars and the tracks that I have done so far whilst making this video. And it's good that the downshifts have been neutralised to a degree. But just on traction, it just seems to be... I just don't know when the car is exactly going to bite. And I will be doing another video quite soon, probably tomorrow, about the pad versus wheel, because there's a guy called iContrast. No, he's an Australian YouTuber, makes very good content. He's coming at the top and he plays on the controller, and I saw some footage of him doing it on this track in this car as well, and I'm actually using his setup. And yeah, no disrespect to him, but he's not a bad player. He's a fairly good player, pretty decent player. But no, I was looking at his lap, and the traction coming off here in second gear, you can see I'm still, it took me a while to get to full traction, whereas he goes on full traction and there isn't any issue. There's no wheel spin, and we're using the same setup and everything as well. So I really do feel there's probably a good likelihood that there is some inbuilt traction control for the controller, as there is pretty much in every game, which I understand. But from being a controller player with a lot of experience myself, I really feel they should just take that out, because you could be quite accurate with your fingers on the triggers. Believe me, you can, especially in the wet under braking. I feel that assist really does need to be kind of removed, and it seems to be quite powerful from what I've seen in this game. And again, you can see riding the curbs like they're nothing, very smooth, pretty easy to do. But with the wheel, as you can see I'm using here, obviously, it's I just find it quite unpredictable. But in the high speeds such as this, going to this corner here and coming off the exit at Parabolica, no, it feels very satisfying. I feel very connected to the car in high speed. No, it feels good, but I just feel from like first to third gear, or first or second to fourth gear, I just feel there's a little element of unpredictability, as I say. But I think this game really does reward you to be quite smooth, and from what I've noticed, and I've noticed it around here, this Ferrari is very quick, but it does seem to be quite excited if you turn a little bit too much or go into this corner. If you carry a bit too much speed, it really does remind me quite a bit of the Ferrari F2004, where it's a little bit understeery, but then once you carry a bit too much speed, it's just quite sensitive to drive. You can see the car wanted to snap a little bit. If you just carry too much apex speed, it really will want to snap away from you. And you're probably wondering, why has there been no Mercedes gameplay so far? We've been asked not to do that, so I don't think you'll be seeing that unless someone's accidentally. And that's example again, not 100% certain that you'll get through that corner unscathed. But yeah, no Mercedes footage right now, so we will be doing all other cars. Please let me know down below as well what cars you would like me to do and what you would like me to test, as we're testing the track limits, which again seem to be fairly consistent, I'll say, in this game so far. I've only done about 3 tracks on this game so far as well. But coming into this first corner, now being forced to downshift slowly, which is something I definitely like. Staying in second gear, but you can see again the rear end, there is wheel spin coming off that corner, and yeah, I think that's between the two devices, I think that is an issue that definitely does need to be addressed. And I don't know if that's something I particularly enjoy, that feeling where it feels, yeah, again, just a little bit unpredictable. But going through these corners here, not applying that much steering lock. If you apply too much, the car will definitely just get lazy on you and want to step out. But once you get it right, it does feel very satisfying. It is a different feeling to F1 2019, but similar in a way where it's not, I wouldn't say it's simulation, because it isn't simulation, but going through corners like that, it's if you get it right, it does feel, it feels pretty good. You definitely feel more connected with the same force feedback, and I'm using exactly the same force feedback settings as I did on F1 2019. I don't think I've even changed anything whatsoever. So that's giving you the indication where it's a little bit of pretty much the same concept, but a few little tweaks to the handling itself here. So going into this first corner, let's see what we can do this time. Braking just between the 150s, about 120 meters out, hitting this curb. Car wanted to get away from me, and you can see again, still losing traction in that third gear. Very, very difficult on traction, whereas I feel in real life, I feel traction is probably a little bit easier than that. One thing I would say, I think the braking could be made harder on this game. You can see, we're not really locking up or anything at all. I feel the braking, it's good that the downshifts, as I said, have been forcing you to be losing it once again. It's good that they're forcing it to be slower, but I feel maybe the likelihood of locking up needs to be raised, I think, in a way, because they were up on our time now, so not a bad lap so far. Going through Ascari, going through here again. See, yeah, it's pretty good, pretty difficult. I'd say it's quite hard to hook up a lap on this game as well. I think 2019 was pretty easy to do that, but of course, I think when you're first playing a new game again, which is a completely different game, then it's going to take you a while to get into that comfort zone. But coming off this corner, although it's an invalidated time, let's see what the time is going to be, and it is a 1:19.0, so we're still 2 tenths away from a controller player on this, and I would really recommend you actually go and watch his video to see. It just seems to be that I'm working so much harder to do lap time, particularly just out of traction. And I think the benefit of a controller as well is also the steering input lock, which is also its worst enemy. If you get the line right, it will provide you the perfect steering lock, whereas with this, seen here, if you turn too much with the wheel, you're going to be losing it exactly like I do there. So we'll go on board now to my actual fastest lap that I did. I finally managed to hook up a lap. Didn't spend that long with it, but it did have to spend about 10 laps on it, as you can see in the top right here. So going into this turn 1, we're going to be braking just before the 100-meter board, going down very, very slowly, kissing this curb, kissing that curb, staying in the second gear, quite easy on traction, but still fighting it all the way up into 4th gear. We were still fighting that, staying nice and tight to the right-hand side of the track. You can see that ERS mode 3, which we'll be talking about in a video very soon, just before the 100-meter board once again, hitting this curb and this curb. That would have killed you on F1 2019, but very, very smooth on this game. Going down to 5th gear, so definitely an element of higher gears in this game as well, but go down to 4th, then short shifting into, well, not really a short shift, but going up into 5th gear, and then back in the DRS zone once again with the new HUD, as you can see, which has had mixed responses so far. Just through here, just before the curb, that is your turning in point. Imagine to hit that pretty nicely, using this curb as well, running out wide, and now we've only got the final quarter to go. We're quite a bit up on our time, so this should be comfortably in the 18s. No, very comfortably. But going into this corner, I missed the apex, missed it that time, run to the line. I lost quite a bit of time there. I think I lost well over a tenth and a half there. And coming across the line, it is an 18.7. That does put me on top of the leaderboard temporarily. I still haven't put my own setup on, but yeah, I'd say the handling, depending on cars, of course, it's going to be very dependent on cars. It's definitely tricky to feel the limit of the car. That's something that I would say here, but that's a setup that I was using. You'll be able to see. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Monza definitely feels a bit different. They've definitely done things to the track where it's just a lot smoother, a lot flatter that it feels. But the handling model, tricky on traction, could be harder under braking, but good that they're forcing you not to spam down the gears. And yes, let me know what you want to see next. Thank you so much for supporting my channel recently, and I'll catch you soon. Peace.